What was the Chitlin Circuit? Have you ever wondered where some of the greatest African American musicians found their start during a time when they faced so many barriers? The Chitlin Circuit was a network of performance venues that played a vital role in shaping the music scene in the United States. This circuit existed primarily from the 1930s through the 1960s, during the era of racial segregation. It provided a safe space for Black artists to perform and connect with their audiences when mainstream venues often excluded them. The name Chitlin Circuit comes from chitterlings, a dish made from pig intestines that is deeply rooted in African American culinary traditions. This term highlights how marginalized communities created their own entertainment networks. The Chitlin Circuit was not just about music. It was a cultural lifeline for Black performers, comedians, and entertainers during the Jim Crow era. From a rock and roll perspective, the Chitlin Circuit was foundational to the development of American popular music. While it is most often associated with blues, rhythm and blues, and jazz, many early rock and roll artists got their start on this circuit. The venues, which included nightclubs and theaters, were places where musicians could experiment and hone their craft. This environment helped shape the energetic sound that would later define rock and roll. The origins of the Chitlin Circuit can be traced back to vaudeville and the efforts of Black entrepreneurs like Sherman Dudley and the Ferguson brothers. They created booking agencies and owned venues specifically for Black performers. As larger agencies declined, a more informal network of Black-owned venues kept the circuit alive, relying on personal connections and community support. The Chitlin Circuit allowed Black rock and roll pioneers to develop their sound and build fan bases despite systemic barriers. It was a training ground for artists who blended blues, gospel, and rhythm and blues, which are direct ancestors of rock and roll. Performers who played on the Chitlin Circuit influenced the next generation of musicians, both Black and white. This influence helped popularize rock and roll across the nation. The emphasis on live performance and audience interaction within the Chitlin Circuit contributed to the rebellious spirit that rock and roll became known for. It provided a model for independent music scenes that value artist autonomy and direct connections with audiences. This tradition continues in rock music today. While the Chitlin Circuit is not solely a rock and roll story, its impact on the genre is undeniable. It nurtured the roots of rock and roll and influenced artists who broke racial and musical boundaries in the 1950s and beyond. Understanding the Chitlin Circuit helps explain how rock and roll emerged from a mix of cultural forces and why live performance remains central to the genre's identity.